she get an extension on that?
Yes, I reviewed it, it's due March 22nd. It's due March 22nd.
Okay, thank you. October term 2020 syllabus, Supreme Court of the United States syllabus hogs. Northwestern University, Secretary of the United States Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. United States Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. Argued December 6, 2021. Decided January 24, 2022. Respondents Mr. Retirement Plans on behalf of the current. In terms of securities, they asked each of these select administrators, respondents and claims respondents in the ERS 8A for prudence of the fiduciary failing monitored of the control respecting record-keeping fees resulting in personal highest cost of the plans, funds and entities of their retail share classes. District Court argued respondents' motion to dismiss 7th Circuit affirmative. Petitioners and imposed claims of fiduciary IRS and the ISA duties are the pursuits of requirements context specified inquiry, fiduciary continuing the monitoring investments, remove imprudent ones allocated. Tibble versus Edison, 575 U.S. 523. Tibble concerned allegations that the fiduciary offered higher price retail class mutual funds or plan investments for monetary identical lower price institution class mutual funds are available. Hogues versus Northwest University, conduct regular review investments, retaining record keeping and charge excessive fees during the likely confess investors and neglecting to provide cheaper and authorize identical alterations investments, resulting responsible failing to remove imprudent investments from the Seventh Circuit. Supreme Court of the United States, April Hogue versus Petitioners, Northwest University, Criteria of the United States Court of Appeals and Seventh Circuit. Justice Sotomayor delivered an opinion court under the Employees Retirement Income Security Act, 1974, amended USC, for discharge their duties and their skills presented in dealing with under circumstances and prevailing prudent man acting in the capacity of familiar matters would use in the conduct to enterprise the character with the like aims. Court of Appeals, Seventh Circuit position of application of law, Part B determinant. Reasoning flaws such are clear rules, whereas requires taking into responsibility to monitor plan investments or remove imprudent ones. Tibble versus Edison. Accordingly, vacant judgment below the remand case and reconsideration for allegations. The case comes to court review response motions of business operative amended complaint accepting the allegation and complaints in service of Northwest University Office of Retirement Plans eligible employee at Northwest University Retirement Plan, Northwestern University Voluntary Savings Plans, both plans, defined contribute plans, and such plans for employees maintain individual investments and accounts, which fund and pre-tax considerations of employees and salaries were applicable matching considerations for employer. Temporary chosen investments as well deduction and associated fees determine the amount of money the person will be saved for retirement. Two types of relevant in this case. There's two types of fees. First is the investment appealing to retirement plans, management service fees, and compensate funds for designating and maintaining the fund investment portfolio. One for the portfolio and one for the typical offered retirement plan. This is the first investment options for mutual funds and index funds. And second is the confiscation for funds for designating and maintaining the funds. Equipment, the faxes, the signatures, the computers, the software. Expenses ratios according to funds investment categories, which is lower for the funds previously tracked makeup standardized index such as the SP 500, investment management fees and retirement plans, and record keeping receives record keeping plans, track balance of individual accounts, private accounts and statements information, next will service like the investment mentioned, fees, free keeping, and also be calculating preceding access. All of the assets for which record keeping response alternatively may be charged for flat rate for a particular account. Northwestern University Retirement Investment Committees and Expenditure Directory Authority control managed plans, individual official administrative plans, collective respondents. Petitioners allege respondents violate their statutory duty or have prejudices in a number of ways if they can wait to an issue here. Second respondent allegation retails all of the classes and higher wages and fees, those charged for those other identical as station share classes. Large investors, App 83, App 84, 8.7171. Over 400 total of irrelevant periods, thereby caused the particular confusion of poor investment decisions. The district court granted the motion, denied leave to amend Divine Northwestern University. Divine Northwestern University Tribble, the court interpreted I, and that's ERISA duties, pursuits, and the license of common law rules determined that the fishery normally continue duty of some kind of modern investments and removing imprudent ones. Neglecting to provide cheaper and authorized identical alteration investments. Responsible allegedly failed to remove imprudent investments. Plans and forge the allegation in considering light of principles set forth on Tibble, determine which position has been stated by plausible claims for their relief. Hose versus Northwest University. Continue on 953F3D8. That's at 991. Court review petition and preferred type of investments. Development complaint flaws on their court notice, specific options kept, expenses ratios, their recruiting expenses low, and also the amount of fees paid, whether when in particular control. Bell Atlantic Corporation versus Toble Ashcroft versus Esbal Tibble applying pleading standard discussion on Ashcroft versus Bell Atlantic Corp versus TWMBLY. Because of the content of the duty proceedings, 6% appropriate. Specification Fifth Third Bank Corp versus Dunhofer. This is January 24th, 2022. January 20th, 2020. Case docket is 20637. Docket 19140. Hodges versus Northwest University. Docket 21A244. NIFA versus OSHA. 21. That's January 13th, 2022. Biden versus Missouri. Case number is 21A240. Bambach versus Kazaski. Now, Mr. Bambach versus Kangaski, case number, docket number is 20480. Biden versus Missouri. Supreme Court of the United States and Services, Joseph R. Biden versus President of the United States of America. Missouri, FELIX George Washington House in the front of Washington, 56th Street Northwest neighbor, Mr. Kenneth W. Chadwick, bar session 33509, embedded into his Income Civil Society, Supreme Court of the United States Administration Office. Joseph Biden, Dr. Fanatic, bulls of crap, bulls of manifesting at the Gold's Gym. Mr. Felix posing as he holds his Starbucks cafe and services mermaid, black, stealthy, immaculate, suffocated in with a closed sealed document. Mr. Joseph Biden breathes his increments to Barela. Mr. President of the United States of America, of Missouri, Xavier. Mr. Barela remarks, go to Sunnyside. Go talk to him in person. We'll have a little chat with him at 8131. Xavier Barela, Secretary of Health and Human Resources, applicants Louisiana served. I have nothing to do with him. Why don't you send him Sunnyside and have him his 8131 NASA facility of Secretary of Health and Human Services verify the Medicare programs of Mr. Biden to go to Sunnyside and confiscate the millions of elderly, disabled people that he had the entranceway left there at Sunnyside, Washington. On November 22, the Secretary announced it was ordered Medicare Medicaid funding facilities to ensure that all Mexicans, all black Negroes, and all wants Mr. Biden dead, which came out of Felix Barela's mouth to Mr. Biden. You need protection, as Mr. Barela kept on announcing to his face, because they want you dead. There's a bunch of wetbacks and Negroes across the street that want you dead. Mr. Barela continued to pay for his services and for his coffee and his whole staff. Columbia Bean from the Border Brothers and cattle company at Gold's Gym that he pulled up in at the Andy Miller's office. State Patrol, Elite Forces, FBI, CIA, and all the documents of servicemen Lace Jane, Dick Cheney, and Sandy Strawn. He's a true American. In November of 21st, Secretary funded served this alien artifact to Mr. COVID-19 patient, Mr. Biden. Mr. Barela, of course, breathing remarks of nothing but successor and equalizing their services, nothing but truth and not chaos, not lies or betrayals, nothing but truth, which came out of the 2 district courts in EPHRATA, Wash, 56 East Street Northwest, P.O. Box, Washington, 876, Barela, B-A-R-E-L-A. Boy, Adam, Roger, Echo, Los Angeles, liquor work class. As he was sitting there skimming the tills, reaching for his pockets, I told him to go across the street and go get into a vehicle and square yourself off with Mr. and Mrs. Wendell Phillips on the administration office in Sunnyside, Washington. You guys have low words. The property, domain, services are not paid for in full. Income is to decide you need to answer up. I understand you're 65 and older, Mr. Biden. The Medicare service of those Negroes and Mexicans, as they would say, the PICEs and ISIS telemembers across the street want you dead. It says both Medicare and Medicare Service Administrator of the Secretary of Staffing in Sunnyside NASA program, Mr. Biden, Minister of Services, that's your correct name, sir. Yeah, right. I have excellent records, my 10-year record. Yes, let me show you all my doc portfolio to you, Mrs. Biden, Missouri. But those sophisticated individual capitalization words and punctuation marks and services for the 42 USCs functions for them. Mr. Biden, you better just go on the street and just go over there and face up to him. He's just like Samuel, Daniel, Lupe. You have to crawl over there and serve her a document from front of Lola, Roberta, and Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Miss Bush, and in front of Mr. and Mrs. Biden. And her name's Bo, over in Yakima Reservation at the George Washington House, 42 USC with 130 Barela, B-A-R-E-L-A. Look, how much function perhaps of this basic perhaps services of the core of witness testimony of the White House Administrative, FBI, CIA, administration, the hospital nursing of Albury surgicals, EMT services, and hospice rehabilitation services of this COVID-19, Mr. Biden. Well, take a good look. I gotta take all my garments off, put it on you, put a diaper on you, right here on Front Street. See, the Congress and authorizing second privilege, the Mrs. Dixie, let's see witness in the testimony services. The lead force and administration and COVID-19 policy regulations, outpatient. Yes, go have some words with him. Why don't you just walk right up? Why don't you throw yourself on the street of Pioneer Way, 831 Kaiser's Funeral Home, and make a scene? Just throw yourself out in the street and put you on Front Street and just crawl yourself all the way to the doorway. Why don't you come to the Music Funeral Home right here? It's called Outpatient Rehab Facilities. Because they have this skilled nursing facility at Broken Dale. 1395K A2F. Ajmer Surgical Centers. You see how they strap you up and send you off and put you into a gigantic open population area with billionaires and millionaires. If you make it out of that, maybe you have some testimony with your surgical product, with your APRA Life Care Services, with some epidural, some surgency and service for mass ordinances, and a drip line into your IV, into your vein. You have to have LPN, RN, Medicare services for the fund, and P services, hospital services, 42, George Washington House. The other one is Life, 365 years. And Life, the packaging department and service fees will be initiated for 1 year. Now, you see the population of all those blacks and Mexicans right across the street there? So let me point you out. Let me do a little zoom on this one. This one, 4165B, surgical owners, and provide the outpatient physical at the Johnson & Johnson. Cane Do Channel 25 with a Corvette. Now, this Corvette goes 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. Now, the physical therapy of the speech of your language is the surgical in your esophagus of you reaching for that cigarette at the dashboard. You're reaching for your cigarette at the dashboard on November 5th of 2021. And that joint, now remember that joint you want to use for the rehab center for your confiscation for the pain and anguish existing on the conditioning on the Medicare add-on new requirement, Mr. Biden. Now, let's go to the store. I'll show you Mrs. Ivanka Barela, Trump's brand new gigantic fishing pole. This one catches not salamanders, but we use salamanders for these. Now we got gutling, we got some fish guts and services. This is tripe and services. This is cattle. This is the eyeball. This is the tail. This is the spleen. This is the shank, left shank, upper shank, lower shank, torso, bottom. There's some cannonballs. There's the spleen. There's, of course, liver. That's be applied. You can use it. We say not counterfeit. We use it and recycle it, and it goes into the basement. You gotta make an appointment for that one. See? Now you place the chain around the hoof. You put the initiated black South Dakota powder into its temple, and you release this trigger point. No pressure. It's like 1.3 of a tenth of a pound to press onto the temple. And all these remain vaccinated. So that's 6,159 kills that day. Now, the day of the conversation of your skit, of your COVID-19 policy regulate corruption, like Mr. Brooks, Mrs. Brooks, Miss Brooks, Mrs. Taylor, Miss Andy Miller, Mr. Miller, Mrs. John, Miss Trump. And of course, Nancy Pelosi is throwing a fit outside for some reason. Because Mr. Trump yelling at Miss Nancy Pelosi, and they're arguing, they're taking artifacts and services off the hallway at the Red Lion. And then the secretary explained, posing Mr. Barela in the Commercial Society of his laptop that's been destroyed and used as a conviction and services in the society, and using the Constitution of bullying and pulling and bringing Healthcare Service Administration to his area. Now the healthcare workers and services unchained, unlinked, the evil and the chaos of 61561, 61567, 61568, 615585, 61 Mr. Barela's voice. People are sidetracked and distracting people, others, but some lady explaining herself the COVID-19 for all these patient and individual services. But this individual, in addition, this threat posed by Facility Transmission Secretary also found fears of exposure to the virus got unvaccinated healthcare services as it came out of its mouth. Golden, silver, diamond, ruby tongue, because he's eating the seven-headed dragon that speaks nothing but versed tongues. So they're all in secretary opposing the rule and reign interim rule, finding that the good cause should be made by 553 BBB. Of course, Boston Pizza, Donald Trump, Donald Canada, Gold's Gym, Newport Highway, and also the Chuck E. Cheese and all the TNT explosive ordinances for the 4th of July surveyor, carnival, and exposures for the delay, a further delay for the engagement of these patient health services for hospice, Alzheimer's, and terminal tapering. Rhonda's Kaiser's Freedom Home, and that's Spokane, by increments of the society, lucre component and service, grunt towers, and lucre services. The Mississippi, Louisiana, Great Mighty Columbia River, Missouri versus Biden. Now, the suffocation of December, and November of Roberta's suffocation of war. 2, World War I. The war that shows the U.S. District Courts of the Western District of Louisiana, Eastern District of Missouri found the rule of defective and indeterminate preliminary injunctions against them. This is Nebraska, Exhibit A. Oh, look, Mr. Barela is the son. The true air of pure suffocation of the blood, esophagus, the RNA, DNA of the sperm sac that comes out of the uterus and fallopian tubes, and they're refusing to leave the uterus of the fallopian tubes. And worldwide, 90 million, which is 300 million other voters, 858,000 U.S. citizenships in terms of active duty residents. Underground services they may comply. Mr. Biden, come to life, Starbucks. And that service was on Clearwater, Gold's Gym, and Increments of Society, the Gold Blue Bridge, Kibble Bridge, the Richland Kibble Bridge, Finley to Richland, Acme, Columbia Point, and the Yacht Club, and services that have applied the Constitution, the United States Constitution, to the Federal services that blood dry with the NRCI Biden 03222121 like R21 W21 to have your weapon, concealed weapon, including concealed weapon. 18, you're military. 18, 19, 20, 21. When you're out, you can go in a population in the military. You have a weapon, you can carry it around. A24 Biden, that's E9, E8, E7, E6, E5, A4, E3, E2, E1. Shortly after the interim announcement, the two group states, Louisiana and Virginia, filed separate action allegations, USS Mississippi, USS Alabama, USS Missouri, 9, and also the injunction occurs in the Court of Appeals and Services. The circuit denied the government motion because of the United States Constitution upholding people. We, the people. Secretary Kim Wayman. We, the people. P.O. Box 4023, Olympia, Washington, SOS, WAGov, Court Annual Reports. File number 4310311972, fee number, refusing to leave the increments of the vagina. As you can see, the so-called services for the Class A uniform health increments of the upper and lower lip, and also the jaw alone, and also the lower cavity, upper cavity, and the lower cavity, which there was no cavities. They were just fabricating and making things up. As you can see, the plane in origin and in the X-ray vision and the catalytic program, the services that have the ritual and the download that incubates on the catalytic program. They have Mr. Government filed applicants asking for both district court preliminary injunctions to be heard, an exception or argument request during this process. First, you agree that the government secretary rule falls with the authorities that the Congress has conferred upon him. Now, Congress authorized Secretary to impose conditions Medicare services, because this birth certificate of the certificate in the RNA, DNA, blood and services have been applied. Blood is pulled out of Barela's arm and put into Mr. Donald Trump and their services for the COVID-19 policy regulation cure for their Income Society administration of COVID-19 policy regulation, and an injunction and catheter going down the urethra of the penis into the increments cavities, so there be no criteria of infusion or any kind of bacterial backflow or any increments of society of backflow or any kind of increments of society of losing any kind of bacterial infection after the gunshot wound or the being stabbed, of course, of this is crooked COVID-19 policy regulations that we've confiscated here, Mr. Biden. This Negroes knows all these pipes might want you dead, right across the street, marked at Starbucks Cafe. While the provisions persist in hospitals and sectors having similar trade powers of these respects, most other categories hereafter in small print, Mr. Biden. I'll take you straight to your front doorway, and I'll walk right over there and drop me off. You can, it's all good. Mr. Donald Trump is very, very known for this. That's Melania in the back seat, and there's me drinking a Pepsi in the back. I'm in the trunk, and here goes Felix just chasing somebody down, confronting them. He's a criminal convict. This is the Chief Justice Department. This is Carrie L. Rung talking to a criminal. And Felix, I'm telling him, there's Felix pointed out, here, Mr. Donald Trump, run the window down in the limo. Tell him Felix to get back into the limo.